Mornings with Mark on Fox News Radio 1460 AM and 101.1 FM.
6:52, thanks so much for joining us here on the program. Well, there are a lot of foods that sound healthy, but they may not be. You know, there are some foods that sound like they're good for our health, even ones that are labeled fat-free or energy, but some of those aren't so good for us. Joining us right now to talk about that is Judy Gaman. She's a health and wellness expert. Hi, Judy.
Hello. It's so good to be on with you this morning, and I'm so glad we're talking about this topic.
Yeah, this is, we see this all the time. You go in there somewhere and you see that it's fat-free, but
right.
Maybe there's more than meets the eye then.
There is. A lot of times they'll say fat-free. You see that on candy. If you think about different candies, gummy bears, those little tart, sweet tart things, they are fat-free, but they're just loaded with sugar. So just because it says fat-free does not mean it's good for you. And again, they can label it reduced fat. Well, reduced fat from what?
That's a good point.
From their original product,
Well, that's like reduced sodium. So, you go to the store and you buy a canned soup, right? Canned soups are famous for this. And you look at, the regular canned soup. It's got, 1,100 milligrams of sodium in it. Well, there's no way I'm going to put that in my body, okay?
Right.
So then they say, well, they have the reduced sodium, and it maybe is 600. Well, that's still not very good.
Not too much. You're right.
You want to get down to around 300 or less, okay?
Yeah. I'm so glad you're so well-versed in this because so many people don't get it. But that's exactly right. And we see that with, energy drinks. People think, energy drinks are so good, or even the sports drinks. And they think that just because they walked around the block, they need to, have a Gatorade. Well, no, you don't. You save that for those heavy workouts. But also be sure that you're not buying the really big ones. People look at it and they think, it's liquid, so it can't be that bad for you. But, yeah, it can. And it's not necessarily what's in it is how much they're putting in it these days. And, of course, all the sugar-free ones, be super careful because of the artificial sweeteners in them.
Right. Now, let's talk about some of the foods, and some of the examples would be prepared salads, reduced fat peanut butter, sports drinks, and smoothies. What about prepared salads? What do we need to beware of with those?
All salads are not created equal. If you're one of these people that says, hey, I'm going to have a candy bar because I had a salad for lunch, not a good idea. Because just because it had lettuce on it doesn't mean that necessarily that you didn't intake way more calories than you needed. For example, some good tips on eating salads is you're going to have chicken on it or any kind of topping on it. It cannot be breaded. It needs to be grilled.
Okay.
Stay away from the different shredded cheeses. Try to go with more like feta or goat cheese. And then, of course, the salad dressing. That's where the calories just go on. You opt for a vinaigrette. And if you're just not a vinaigrette kind of person and you're more of a ranch or Thousand Island, get it on the side and dip in it. You'll be amazed how much is actually left over when you're just using it by dipping in instead of slathering it.
And by the way, with the salads that come with the meat, watch out for the packaged Cobb salad because that's going to have some meats in it. Or they have one called the Italian cold cut salad, right?
Right. Salami was never a good thing.
Exactly. All right. Now, how about peanut butter? Reduced fat peanut butter. You got to watch it with peanut butter.
Well, you really do, and really you got to worry about the sugar content, the sodium content in peanut butter. And again, goes back to that reduced from what? Some of the peanut butters we were so used to eating as a kid, and I know we give them to our kids, they're loaded with sugar, they're loaded with fat. And just because they're reduced, you got to remember what were they reduced from. If you can, train your palate to get used to the organic, no-stir peanut butter. That's such a great option. And once you've had it a couple of times, you can retrain that palate not to be looking for that high sugar, high fat content.
Judy Gaman, let me ask you about the natural peanut butters that you have to stir. They have the oil on top. Now, some people say, you got to pour that oil out. It's no good. But I always heard that oil is there. You got to mix that in.
You have to mix it in.
So that you can actually move the peanut butter. It doesn't become like a brick. That's
right. If you pour it out, good luck getting that peanut butter out of there.
Right. And I'm looking at actually some Smart Balance peanut butter, real peanut butter, it says here. The ingredients are peanuts, evaporated cane juice, natural oil blend of, palm fruit and flaxseed oils, salt, and molasses. And this apparently has 16 grams of fat for a 2 tablespoon serving, 3 grams of saturated fat, 0 trans fats. Does that sound like it's okay? There's no cholesterol, 145 mils of sodium in those 2 tablespoons.
Yeah, it's a lot of salt, You know, I always tell people to switch to almond butter because almond butter has, really good protein in it. It has 0 trans fat, especially there's a brand called Maranatha.
Yeah, Maranatha.
Maranatha, that's what it is. Uh-huh. I was trying to remember. And it's so good. I always get that. It's easy to stir, but again, it's low in sugar, only 3 grams, and 6 grams of protein. It's, you're going to get some fat anytime you have nuts, but we've got to remember that nuts are not necessarily a bad fat, kind of like avocados. People say, oh, they're fatty, but it's a good fat, and so are nuts. But everything needs to be, of course, it comes down to the amount.
Right.
So how much you have is very important.
All right, so we're getting some good alternate choices here this morning. So the thing you have to watch out for are foods that sound healthy but may not be. Watch out for the organic meals as well, because a lot of times they are very high in sodium. I've noticed that with some of the organic, like frozen foods, prepared meals in the stores. You pick it up and look at it and go, oh, great, low fat and so forth. But then you look at the sodium and it's really high because that's how they figure they're going to put some taste into it.
Right, and you have to be careful whenever you're looking at things where they've reduced sodium or they've reduced other things. Then they add in something called MSG.
Oh, monosodium glutamate or something like that, yeah.
Yes.
Judy, I have to run because I'm a minute away from my network news at the top of the hour, but I want to thank you for being with us.
Always a pleasure.
Take care.